The chapter starts where the last one ended. Garp asked Roger if he can also hear Rox's voice. Then Roger and Garp attacked Demon Rox. We see multiple pages of the battle. Roger and Garp's attacks didn't wound Rox. This confrontation ended with a colossal clash that created a massive wave of Conqueror's Hockey. Roger and Garp crashed into the mountains. The clash split the sky over God Valley. Roger and Garp got up after the clash, despite being wounded. They took off their jackets, ready to continue fighting. Two little Denden Mushi started ringing, and they talked with their comrades. Roger and Garp say, "We will return." So we're getting into the big battle here. We knew that this was happening based off of the end of the previous chapter. But yeah, as we assumed, Rox is probably more powerful than both of them here. Now, I don't know how much of this is like the Dami Reversi aspect of Rox making him this strong, because it is implied that it makes you stronger. But I'm just going to assume that Rox inherently is probably stronger than both Roger and Garp at this point in time. Especially because it seems like they go into their prime, like, years after this, you know? They're not at the peak of their power right now. I mean, who is to say if Rox even is, but it just seems like he's stronger than them overall. Garp says, "Rox, Roger, I was planning on putting both of you in cuffs on this island, but now..." Roger says, "And my original plan was to take Shocky and the treasures and get the heck out of here. Seems like we'll have to team up, huh?" And Garp says, "Not my intention coming here at all, but I suppose leaving this fella to his own is out of the options." Then Roger and Garp attacked Rox again. At the same time, we see that Rayleigh reached their ship and brought Shacky to safety. Roger pirates arrive too with all the treasures that they can get. We see Kyo telling his men to take the ship and leave the island. Shiki said too that this is the end of the Rox pirates. Linlin and Kaido were talking in another part of God Valley. They were fine despite Rox attacks. Linlin says, "Listen now, Kaido, this is the debt of a lifetime. I will make you pay me back one day." And Kaido says, "Idiot, I beat you in that competition for the fruit. That's the simple truth, Linlin. Just you see, I will establish a crew where violence is everything." Linlin says, "Getting ahead of ourselves, aren't we? You will never surpass me." And Strusen says, "Linlin, what are you doing? We're leaving. Take the treasures." And Linlin says, "I will come to collect that debt one day." Kaido says, "I will throw you back to where you came from." Hey, also guys, real quick, can we please get 2,000 likes on this video? I know you can do it. Grab that phone, hit that like button. It'll help me. It'll help the video. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, the Rox pirates have officially disbanded at this point, unfortunately. They were awesome, but we knew that it was going to happen. And along with Whitebeard, who we're going to be talking about after this, we're seeing the most significant members of the Rox Pirates who are going to go on to become essentially Yonkos. And I say essentially because I don't know if Shiki was ever like literally established to be a Yonko, but he was definitely strong enough and had a crew big enough to be considered a Yonko, I suppose. And then of course we know what happens with Kaido and Big Mom, also with Whitebeard. So pretty cool to see where this, I guess, eventually starts with, unfortunately, Rox getting Dami Reversi'd and attacking them. But first, let's talk about our favorite Japanese artisan snack subscription box, and that's Sakurako. Because this month's box is Wonders of Nagano. And this box is filled with delicious artisan snacks from Nagano, which is tucked right in the Japanese Alps. Every Sakurako box comes with a booklet that explains all of the snacks in the box, as well as Japan and its culture, and they also come with one tableware item, and this month it's the Saga Shippo plate. First, I tried this month's tea, and it's the melon hojicha. It has this really nice smooth taste with subtle notes of sweet melon. Then I tried the apple pie Danish. I mean, come on, you know that this thing looks incredible, and it tastes even better. Apparently, the dough undergoes a long fermentation using natural panettone yeast for a rich flavor and soft texture. And they weren't lying. Then I tried the apple manju. These are Shinsu apples blended in the smooth white bean paste and wrapped in a soft tendered milk bun. And this is absolutely incredible. It is the perfect texture experience, and I'm big on textures. So guys, you can get your very own Sakurako box by checking the link in the description, and make sure you use code Zhoniin for $5 off your first box. Thanks, guys. In another part of God Valley, Newgate meets a pirate who looks like Marco. He's Polo Graham, captain of the Polo Pirates. Polo says, "Newgate, you're the one who crashed that mountain, aren't you? Looks like the crew's falling apart. My name is Graham. I'm a fan of yours. You got no ships to return to, right? Work with me.
Whitebeard says, sounds like a pain. Get lost.
Stussy Gonzoy and Gil Bastar were also running away with several treasures. Gil Bastar was accompanied by a ghost that looks similar to the ones that Perona creates in the present. Stussy was very angry, asking where is Newgate. So yeah, Marco's dad is Polo. Talked about this before. It's like Oda's joke, which I'm sure he thinks is hilarious. Marco Polo. You know, the guy who's famous for documenting his travels through Asia. That's where the whole Marco Polo thing came from. And I guess Whitebeard is just taking over his ship, and that's how he starts his crew. Is that like the implication here? And then he just takes his son? And also Gil Bastar, he's like the guy with 4 arms, right? He originally had the horror fruit, the the ghost manipulation thing that Perona has. That's the implication here. And also, I'm pretty sure Gil Bastar is like one of the zombies on Thriller Bark, right? So that's a pretty cool tie-in. In one of the Marines' battleships, Dragon was threatening a higher rank Marine with a rifle to take some surviving civilians on the ship with them. On the other hand, Rayleigh and Gaban decided to return to the island to look for Roger. They asked the Roger pirates to leave the island and wait for them. All right, man. Wow, Dragon. Dragon has had like the full redemption this arc, at least with me. We were ragging on Dragon for a long time. Honestly, probably still will, depending on what he does in the story from this point on. But young Dragon, man, he was him. Straight up like threatening a higher rank Marine with a gun. Like, hey, take these civilians and get out of here. I love it. And also, I guess this means that Dragon still doesn't have his devil fruit powers yet, which we suspected. Emu in Saturn's body, normal Saturn's body now has Emu's eyes, left the island on a world government ship. Emu ordered to erase God Valley from existence. Then the narrator explains how Marines from G11 base and Cypher Pole 6 erased all information about God Valley and the hunting tournament. So, wow, Emu's just piecing out of there. Just Dami reverse these rocks, and then it's like, oh, I'll just let Rocks fight Garp and Roger, and I'll just leave. And them ordering to erase God Valley, I guess, means that Uranus is going to come in and fire down its lasers and, wipe it away. That's usually what that means when Emu says that, right? And Oda covering his tracks here, saying that G11 base and Cypher Pole 6 erased all the information about God Valley and the hunting tournament. So that's how that happened. Garp and Roger versus Rocks continues. The other huge mountain of God Valley was destroyed during the battle. Garp and Roger couldn't damage Rocks because even though they coded their attacks with Conqueror's Haki, Rocks used his Conqueror's Haki to cancel them out. Against this background, Roger suggested to pour all of their Conqueror's Haki together into one attack to overcome Rocks' guard. But that plan had a problem. After that attack, Roger and Garp will have no strength left, so it's a big gamble. But Garp agreed with Roger's plan. Then, in the absolutely epic final double page of the chapter, Roger and Garp use a combined attack to defeat Rocks. Roger says, Hino Kagasuchi no Ace. The kanji means wise man of flame god. And Garp says, infinitum explosion. Roger attacked with multiple thrusts to cut Rock's body, and Garp threw Rock several punches at the same time. This attack is similar to Luffy's Gum Gum no Gatling. The chapter ends with Rocks' defeat as the narrator talks about the legacy of the Rocks pirates. The narrator says the world government sought to conceal the incident in this entirety. However, the group under Rocks Beck was an organization of chaos that shaped an era. The collapse of the Rocks pirates shook the world with its defined echoes. End of chapter, break next week. Okay, so pretty cool ending sequence here. I mean, it's not cool that Rocks is dying, and we'll get to that. But it is cool that we're seeing essentially ultimate attacks, which we didn't know before, using them both together, all of their strength, 100% of everything into one last gambit, and it worked. Also, we're going to get way more into this maybe tomorrow or Friday, whenever we get to see what actually is happening here, and I'll go over the battle in detail. But the narrator at the end of this chapter is worrying me, because the way that he's talking makes it seem like God Valley's over, like this is the end of the flashback? And if this is it, it's like, Oda, why? Just have one more chapter dedicated to this. Show the wrap up. Show the aftermath. What happened to Rocks? Is he purposely leaving this vague because, I don't know, Rocks isn't dead? Is he dead? Did he live on through Blackbeard? Did God Valley get Uranus? What happened? Because if this is the end of the God Valley flashback, then I guess we're going to come back to what was going on with Harold and his death. Because that's ultimately what Loki was explaining in the first place. I don't think Loki is like literally explaining all of God Valley. Valley here because Hyrule was like, you got 3 minutes. So I don't know. I mean, if we get the rest of Harold's flashback, essentially how he got Dami reversing and how that led to Loki killing him. But man, we need one more God Valley wrap-up flashback here, please. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.